into this next game, what else they have up their sleeves, or can BNK FEARX bounce back? As the space was kind of talking about, just some questionable decisions around that Herald, but I still think there was good from BNK FEARX. There was the play they got back in the game with. I think some of their map play and where they were putting resources made sense, even though there were definitely moments that didn't make sense. But I still think very much capable of bouncing back in this one. Now, Kiwoom DRX last time said we're going to ban every single jungler we can. This time it's AD carries, apparently. So they are first pick again. 4 games in a row between these two teams where Kiwoom DRX has been first pick. So getting a little bit used to that. Notably, though, BNK FEARX for the first time banning Cassio first when they normally ban it second. Okay, they just baited me because they normally go Ori Cassio. Yeah. This time, wait for it, they went Cassio Ori.
Cassio Oriana.
Yeah, very crazy.
It kind of goes together. And I like the 2 AD carries that are banned here by Kiwoom DRX from first pick because both Lucian and Jhin have pretty solid duos that you can just pick 1-2 from second pick, like Lucian Milio, Jhin Shen. That is still available. Camille is going to get banned, so perhaps those Shen stocks go up. But we saw it ignored in the last game. And Nocturne got through, so...
Yep, left open will be snapped up by
Poppy too.
Kiwoom DRX. Poppy also available. Playable support or jungle. We'll see if BNK FEARX lean toward that. For now, though, potentially looking at the Annie for VicLa. And, you know, Annie's always been a bit of a specialty pick for him. I know, obviously, it's been popular in general, but back when BNK FEARX was succeeding last year, it was a lot of his Annie. But instead, seems like they'll just go for the Yunara. I guess Yunara Lulu is going to come through because you don't want to give over Nocturne Lulu.
Yeah.
And I think they were maybe concerned about that trio, that pairing coming through, especially with aiming, piloting the Yunara. Got that pentakill earlier this year and very proficient in the champion. Now, though, Kiwoom DRX, they banned bot laners heavily. What are you going to pick into this pairing to shut it down?
Yeah, they didn't ban all of the available duos. And yeah, maybe just pick the top side of the map here.
Yeah, it's risky because it gives you less ability to match the bot lane 2v2. Yeah. More bans going to come down through that, and they don't fully commit to it. They go, okay, we'll get the Rumble for Frog, but we want the Nautilus, we want an answer. And when Yunara was really fresh into the meta when she just been released, Vi and Nautilus were the 2 big picks that you would want to intuit, or people would be banning when they picked it. So I think getting this for Andil makes a lot of sense here, meaning you definitely have an answer. And when you look at BNK FEARX, have this hyper carry and aiming, and they just further lean into that with the Cassante, because your eggs are very much in the aiming basket right now. And the enemy team has Nautilus, Taeyoon basket.
Yeah.
Taeyoon basket. Because they both have X at the end of the name. Eggs are very much the Taeyoon basket, and there's too many. You know what? There's too many 80 carry swaps have happened. That's what I'm blaming this on. But there's the Nautilus, the Rumble, and the Nocturne to really shut Taeyoon down, and they're going to ban away some of these lane bullies with the MF being taken away.
Yeah, MF not a very common bot duo. So I mean, we've seen other ones like Kai'Sa not. I don't know if you really want to play Kai'Sa with Nautilus into Yunara and Lulu. Sounds like a really rough bottom lane, so gonna be curious to see what they do go for. Maybe something like a Sivir. Kind of running out of options here as Varus also gets banned.
Yeah, I was thinking Varus could be decent in terms of the 80 carries left that can pair up with a Nautilus. You could just take Corki, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the pool's definitely be thin. They got about. They do ban away that Annie. I wouldn't be in love with Annie with this composition of BNK FEARX. You have a tank top laner, you have this hyper carry 80 carry, and so many tools to shut down Taeyoon, who's on BNK FEARX.
Yes.
Not
Diablo.
Not Diablo. Not aiming. Not Jiwoo. And so having a secondary carry is going to be really important for BNK FEARX. They're going to go for the Lee Sin here for Raptor. It really is feeling like Taeyoon a bust right now.
Yeah.
Taeyoon.
Taeyoon,
AD carry for BNK FEARX.
There's a lot of smiling from Raptor. I'm not really sure why, but he does get to play Lee Sin. So maybe he's just happy about it. And yeah, we were talking about the stuff that's left.
Whoa!
Draven is left, technically.
He is the Gold King, but I think Corki a lot more likely. And then mid lane, this kind of feels like the sort of slot where people just slam Victor. But we've seen Victor struggling a good amount. Goes with a Locke instead, and this just further cements how is Taeyoon going to survive and also deal enough damage to cut through everyone who's just charging him.
Yeah, I mean, as long as they don't get hooked in bot, they should be okay, but there's definitely a decent amount of threat there. Do we just see Galio now?
Lissandra, oh.
It's kind of a similar vein.
It kind of fills the role of Annie, where it pairs up well with the Lee Sin. You have the setup, but you are not going to be a major damage threat. This game, and there are tools. Look, don't get me wrong, there are tools from BNK FEARX to peel between the Cassante, the Lee Sin, the Lissandra. But if Taeyoon dies, it's just over. It's going to be so hard to fight your way out of that if you're at an even game state. If you're ahead, great. If you manage to find early momentum, great. If VicLa can roam, fantastic. But I think if the game is even, all Kiwoom DRX have to do is click all of their ultimates onto Taeyoon, and that'll probably be enough.
Yeah.
Taeyoon, who's on the other team, not on that team.
Yeah. I'm glad you finally figured it out. I mean, one thing I will say is that you've got double range bot with the Enchanter, and you have Lee Sin against a Nocturne. So there are ways to get ahead, right? You were talking about how they kind of have to get ahead. And I think there are, okay, that Fox is very sad. I'm not sure about continuing to hit it, but
that's pretty mean.
Yeah. There are ways to get ahead. And I am curious to see how they're going to manage it. If they sit back and do nothing, I will be very upset, because then you just kind of lose to all of this damage. And yeah, we'll see if Kiwoom DRX can top it off with a 2-0, or if we go into a game number 3 as we hop into the Rift for game 2.
미니언들이 생성되었습니다.
All right, game number 2 on the cards.
Notice that they gave the gold from that first ward. They're beginning to understand.
Yeah. There is a reason why every team that aiming's on eventually just kind of, you know, gives him all the gold. Even when you've got guys like BDD in your roster.
Aiming going for the TP here. So clearly not looking to play heavily through the bot lane 2v2. At least not at first. And I think with a Corki, who obviously has a lot of safety built into the kit, TP means you can't really be shoved out of lane too easily. Gives Andil a lot of freedom to roam, which he'll be much better at than the Lulu. I'm really looking at Raptor and VicLa this game. They need to get the ball rolling and set things up. Ucal, I think, did a phenomenal job of controlling the entire bot side of the map in game 1. But in this game 2, I think we should see VicLa able to do that, and I'm hoping he does. Picking Lissandra, you don't pick Lissandra to just win lane and sit in lane. That's not why you take the pick. And into a Locke as well, you should have that pressure consistently. That's a good dredge line there by Andil. Takes with the damage in return.
Yeah. Still a lot of damage done to Kellin. Gonna force him to chug some of those pots, probably. This Electrocute comes out. I mean, I was saying the Galio, we see so much Galio into Locke, because oftentimes the Locke gets picked blind. And it's because, you know, even if Galio does get picked into you, it's like, well, I'm still gonna look to gank other lanes and get ahead that way. I'm not really going to kill my lane opponent unless they make a big mistake, so... Yeah, we see a lot of blind lock, a lot of Galio responses, not too much Lissandra.
Yeah, I was saying how Lissandra just doesn't offer as much damage as some other mids. One thing I will say is that something they did a while ago was they improved the consistency on her passive. So, like the thralls, follow targets in the brushes, They no longer like stand still before they detonate and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And if you actually get the resets from the ult, it does a ton of work in fights. Like, that cannot be ignored. So if they kill, say, Andil is on the front line and they blow him up, or Willa goes too deep, that's potentially the recall. So you just explode them and then let the Frozen Thrall kind of carry you through the rest of the fight. But big ifs, big buts, and ultimately kind of depends on BNK FEARX being in a comfortable position. Now, we do see Andil Willa trying to challenge the Raptors here, and they will be warded away.
That's Raptors.
Yeah.
You can't take... He takes your Raptors. You don't take his Raptors. That's kind of against the law.
He did name himself after them.
Yeah. For a reason. The amount of times I've seen that guy invade for Raptors is a lot. Aiming just TP'd back here. Directly in the face of Yunara Lulu, so I'm not really sure what he expected. At least he has some potions.
Ah, yes. Locke has reached that point of the lane where he just one-shots the wave and runs away. Very cool.
Yeah.
Cool champion. Oh, you wanted to damage him while he's doing... Oh, he's got great health. You forgot about that?
Yeah. He's really fast. And he can dash. So...
I feel like Lissandra is really just like the typical old-school archetype of what a champ is. Quite slow, you know, with the way she sets things up. She does have a really powerful ability, right? The ult is very powerful, but a lot of her kit is based around that. And then they added the newer passive, but originally her passive, wasn't it just like mana regen?
Yeah,
and then
it
you
was
have,
like you autoed and get...
Then you have Locke, which is like, yeah, you CC me, I can still pop my grey health. You know, I have like 16 paragraphs in my ultimate.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's one of the things that actually makes this matchup really rough, is that if you ult Ucal, he can just pop the grey health. Like, if you don't kill him in time.
Yeah.
So...
You know, with all the League of Legends classic stuff that we've had, even Riot making that zillion commercial, I guess you would call it. It's not really a commercial, but the cinematic where it's talking about all the passives, all the stuff he's got to write, the paragraphs. They're very self-aware about it. I think it's pretty difficult to make unique champions this late into a game's life, you know, for League of Legends, which has been around for...
I mean, I remember when I first played League of Legends, which was I think like 12, 13 years ago, I saw Lissandra and was like, hey, it's just like a Frost Mage from WoW. And I'd been playing WoW before, and I was like, well, yeah, I'll play that. It was just very simple, but I feel like you can only do so many champions that are that simple.
It's difficult, so you try to make more. As now VicLa's going in, and now we got a Cassante from the top lane, and Willer's just dead. First blood given over to Raptor just like that.
Big overstep there from Willa. Not even with level 6 in the Nocturne, but not really sure what the game plan was there. Hanging around mid when the Lissandra has ultimate and is that big threat is not going to reward you with a long life. You know what actually happened in that first game of Lissandra?
What happened?
I got bodied by a Tryndamere, and I was like, oh, that's just like a warrior. I'll just play that.
Tryndamere's OP. I gotta play that champ.
Yeah. So they go for this engage on Lissandra, but you have to be so certain that you can take out VicLa because he's easily able to turn it around, and he still had the ult available. So even if you found a favorable engage, if you don't kill him, he just self-ults, buys time. I think that was a little bit ambitious from Kiwoom DRX, especially since Willa didn't even have his ult himself, and they do end up paying for it.
Yeah. Lissandra, like Galio, going to be going for the Imperial Mandate here. As they're going to be pulled through the wall. Frog not in the best spot, has to flash away.
Good flash.
That gets him out of there.
Yeah, good flash, able to disengage. Clay doesn't chase because with the equalizer still available, Frog would have just been able to pull away. A big farm lead so far for Clay. Has been doing well in the 1v1 matchup. We often see Rumbles will have pressure early against the Cassante and farm up gold with the first strike and just get a mountainous lead, but we've also seen it go the other way, and Clay doing a good job here. All in all, it's still a very even game, even with that first kill going over to BNK FEARX.
Yeah. It's just good that at least they're getting some kind of snowball rolling instead of sitting back and saying, good luck, Taeyoon. Now we do have Willer starting this up. There's nobody in the bot lane, so the timing of this is very good on the backs of BNK's bots.
You do have VicLa going for the Imperial Mandate, which is pretty good value for Lissandra. It works on your ult and your W, and gives insane amount of ability haste for one item, especially one that's so cheap. And if you want to spike early, it is just a phenomenal item. That extra damage, we've seen Galio abuse it quite a bit, the damage amp. Remember we used to have it, was it Evan Shroud was a support item that had that? And then they nerfed it because it was too OP. I do think that Imperial Mandate's a bit more niche in the champions. Imagine if Imperial Mandate, instead of AP, had HP and some resists. It would just be a support's dream.
Yeah, that sounds way too strong.
Imagine Alistair with that item. No, it's not okay.
And now we just get kind of niche mids that build it.
Yeah.
Really just Galio and sometimes Lissandra. So.
I feel like I expected a lot. Oh, they're going in.
All right, we got a Nocturne in the bottom lane. Just going to throw everything at Taeyoon, but he just flashes away from the hook. And Andil not able to close the gap there.
Not quite able to connect, and Taeyoon did a good job of immediately recognizing the threat and just getting as much distance as possible. If you're hesitating at all, you do just die there. I think it does kind of show some of the concerns we had, because Taeyoon, you really have to be playing very well to avoid all these threats on your life, but he does avoid that one. It does cost him his ult and his sums. That is one other concern for Yunara, is that she's kind of fake. She has fake safety. You know, you have like Corki, who has his Valkyrie up every so often, Ezreal, who has his Arcane Shift ups very, very often. If Taeyoon wants a dash, it costs your ult, which then you either don't have it for a fight, or maybe didn't have it available before the barrier comes through for Taeyoon to stop the interrupt. Pretty nice. Especially since aiming has TP, getting your recall interrupt there could have been pretty painful.
Yeah, I mean, we had an era, and we still kind of have an era, where everybody has a million dashes and a million ways to get over walls, into fights, out of fights,
I think
etc. The most recent champion has a lot of different ways to get in and out of fights, but I kind of like that design from Yunara, where it's like, yes, it's an AD carry. Yes, she can be pretty fragile. If you are going to use a very strong dash, it's going to cost a lot.
Yeah, I think it's a good way to design things. Unlike Zeri. But I digress. We do see BNK FEARX trying to get Taeyoon some damage on this tower. They do have 3 plates as well. Looks like Locke is moving over to respond here.
They're going pretty deep for this one. Now Andil gets in and everything is thrown at him, but he had Aftershock up as now everybody hit by that, and Locke just immediately dies. But it was really cool when he hit the big circle on them.
It was neat. Oh, Raptor's fishing for a kick. Well, he did kick him.
He did a bit of damage, I guess, and now we got a Kazante under the turret, and Kiwoom DRX are falling apart like a house of cards. As Frog is in here, he doesn't have his TP, and Clear is going to get away with his life as well. As a Q comes in, it is 4 kills and a triple for VicLa.
I really wanted to see BNK FEARX getting some early momentum in this game, and they have absolutely done that. Finding a super favorable play, and for Kiwoom DRX, just, I think it all stems from Andil doesn't connect on this initial engage. They're trying to set up because they know Locke is coming in. Andil ends up hitting the train. It's a nice sidestep from Taeyoon, uses the ult on Taeyoon, and just gets CC'd. And then this ult is massive, but the Nocturne ult isn't quite available yet. You can see it comes up now. A little bit late. There was no follow-up. And then this kick, and I was joking about it a bit, but it kicks him on a tower, gets some damage down, and sets up for this moment where Xante tanks the tower, and they can just clean up the kills. And then Willa goes back in. There's 2 thralls that explode on him to lower him down. If you have a Lissandra mid, especially Lissandra who's gotten that early spike off the mandate, this is exactly how you want to play out the game. So credit to BNK FEARX for setting that up and just getting a mammoth lead for the mid jungle.
Also, there's a reason why Wolf calls Locke a cheerleader a lot of the time, is because he'll throw in his ult and he'll only commit if they're actually getting low, right? Ucal, he hits a big ult and then he tries to like run straight out of Lissandra and just dies. I mean, there's ults available. The Lulu's right there. There's 4 people stacked up. Like, yes, you hit a big ult, but you got to wait for the right timing when you're playing Locke. You can't just kind of send it. You're still a squishy mage if you don't have your W up. So, yeah, he just goes in, gets stuns, and dies. So that's just 0 value out of the Locke. They had a nice collapse coming in, but the second that Ucal dies, it all falls apart.
Yeah, puts him in a really difficult position. And now with the Lissandra so strong, I have a lot of my concerns have just been washed away. They are very real threats in this game. And I feel like they're such bursty champions that if you get past that threshold where you can just one-shot someone in a combo, the game feels so easy to play. Dragon is up and available, would be the second for Kiwoom DRX. I don't think that BNK FEARX are going to let them take it. That is just my hunch. That is just my impression. And it seems they are agreeing with me.
Yep, no real reason to do that. Aiming, trying to step up to Taeyoon. Tries to flash, and a very nice angle here from VicLa gets the kill. And now, once again, they got that first pick as a nice kick does go down onto Ucal as he is able to flash the wall. There's no ult left available, but now you've got a Yunara who's frontlining, and that's exactly where you wanted her to be. The equalizer's nice, but they're just too far behind down a member here. I don't think that Kiwoom DRX really have a way into this fight. Although, Frog thinks differently, and he is going to frontline and die. I don't really have a lot of excitement for that call because that didn't make any sense.
Yeah, just oversteps into the Xante and understandably dies. A lot of flashes been in that fight. I think the total count was 6. They're going back to try and make something happen again.
I mean, maybe they can get VicLa down, but he gets over the wall because he is Lissandra. The Wild Growth comes in and eventually execute maybe, but already Willer's down and Andil's low. So the rest of the fight going heavily in favor of BNK FEARX is a triple for Taeyoon already. And Ucal tries to dash in, tries to make something of this, but it's a quadra kill for Taeyoon on the Yunara.
Well, I did say there's a lot of eggs in the Taeyoon basket. I actually said the aiming basket, but I meant Taeyoon.
Yeah.
Getting a quadra kill, 15 minutes in the game, I think that ticks every box. I think they're just golden from here on out. This play, this was pretty slick coming out from Raptor, able to redirect Ucal in. But at this point, Kiwoom DRX are allowed to leave. They're actually allowed to leave.
One death,
situation.
leave.
You know, the teacher was 15 minutes late. And they don't. They stick around. Clay has his Q stacked up, and it's like, okay, that's a dead rumble. And then they're like, hey, we're respawning. They've been around a while. They're a little low on resources. Let's try again. But once more, Andil gets baited in and misses the dredge line. And then here, the execute, Ucal's trying to chase it, but the Wild Growth is brilliant. No reset comes in. And even if it did, I think him chasing that far, the fight is just over. Taeyoon's able to free hit. They focused a lot of their tools on Lissandra, whose job's already done. It just kind of went from bad to worse. Oh my god. Oh my
beautiful.
Lord.
And Raptor's just having fun in this game now.
That was such a sick kick. That was actually so slick, honestly, from Raptor there. Well, game 1 was good for Kiwoom DRX.
Well, I don't know. We've had a lot of this in the LCK where Team A crushes game 1, and then Team B crushes game 2.
Yeah.
It's not that interesting, but, you know, I suppose it means the series is kind of close, but I think it just means some of our teams are dropping the ball.
This Sonic Wave just catching him at the end of the Valkyrie and then coming in for the kick. That was a nice play from Raptor. And I think 8,000 goal lead at 17 minutes. Yeah, it's fried. It's deep fried. They're going to try and kill Claire. I hope they can for their sake.
Yeah, I think they can eventually. It's taking them a while, though, and that is Xante. No! Right over to his team.
I think he could have killed Andil. He could have killed Andil. He 100% could have killed Andil. He let him go. He's merciful. He may have died if he overstayed to kill Andil, but I just respect the fact that this game is cooked. This game is done. Like, you know how last game there was always that angle of like maybe. I don't think that angle exists here.
I mean,
well, okay, let's dial it back a bit.
It felt that way, and then Syndra got a big scatter.
I will say there is a lot of tools to kill Taeyoon. problem is it's so early, and BNK FEARX are so far ahead. VicLa has a 10-stack Medjais, so like he has. Look at VicLa's items and then look at Ucal's items, and tell me they're playing the same game. You'll have to wait until the total gold drops. Yeah, look at the item comparison between these mid laners. Tell me they're playing the same game. It's like Ucal's now on Nightmare difficulty, and VicLa's playing on Story mode.
Yeah.
He's just so much stronger. He just looks at someone, they're dead. And then Ucal's having to work so hard to get a reset. It's not going to happen. This game feels very over. I think BNK FEARX, they need some mega mistakes for this to go wrong.
Yeah. What is the, you said deep fried this game, and it is.
Yeah.
What's the weirdest deep fried thing you've ever eaten?
The weirdest deep fried thing? I don't think,
Yeah.
I feel like that's more of an American thing.
Well, yeah, that's why I was curious, because...
Have I eaten anything that's really weird deep fried? I can't think of anything weird I've eaten.
Have you been to America?
Not for a long time. Not since I was a kid.
Wow. And I guess you probably didn't have deep fried stuff when you were a kid.
I don't think so. I really don't remember that well. It was a long, long time ago.
Maybe you didn't, you just didn't know. A lot of things are deep fried there. Yeah, well, Ucal's dead. They are going to throw everything at him.
He did press his gray health.
We've seen some Lissandras here and there, and they just look so useless. And then we see a game like this, and we're like, oh, okay, so this is the idea.
So, something I've learned about League of Legends. If you're really...
Okay, just try to kill try to kill Raptor, they said. They changed their mind halfway through. As the Flash Wild Growth comes in, as Taeyoon flashed into everybody, is trying to take down aiming, will not be able to do so, gets over the wall barely. But man, that was very risky positioning from everyone. Didn't end up mattering, though.
They got Raptor. That was their initial goal, right? They started that fight and said, let's kill Raptor.
Yeah.
They tried. Andil had the most phenomenal bar game one. And then game 2, it's been a bit of a struggle. I also think, you were talking about Lissandra before. There's a lot of picks in League of Legends. A lot of picks in League of Legends that you give them a ton of gold, and man, do they look good.
Yeah.
Okay, this is pretty straightforward. So what they do is they actually CC him, and then they kill him. It's a good play.
Wait, but Raptor didn't use his CC ability.
Well, some of them did.
Oh.
VicLa did. So the ult here doesn't have the follow-up dredge line. It was really good from Taeyoon to position behind the wall so he couldn't be CC'd. And then they turn on to Raptor. And they're like, we got him! We took him down! And then Aiming is like, oh man, I need a 1v1 Taeyoon. And Taeyoon gets the dash back over the wall. VicLa just walks up top and just like... I mean, I'm sure he used an ability. I didn't see that bit of the fight, but he could have just autoed. He could have just autoed Aiming and he died at that point. I mean, that was a Seeker's Arm Guard, 20 stacks on the Medjais. Yeah, and... my mind is drawn back to the deep fried thing. I don't really know.
Yeah.
What's the weirdest thing you've had deep fried and eaten?
I mean, I was hoping you were going to have a weird one because honestly, I haven't really eaten anything weird that was deep fried.
You started the conversation and you're an American. You should really have this in the bag.
The thing is, America's really big, right? So different regions have different things.
It's just one country.
Yeah, that is true. They are going to try to kill Frog, and they will be successsul. Now they're going to try to get VicLa, but he has his Onulus. So surely, eventually, they can get him. No, he just flashes the Locke ult, and Clear is soloing the AD carry. This game was over, feels like 22 minutes ago, but that's actually when the game started. But it has been very one-sided. Ucal just on the run, but maybe they can end it here. That might be some good news. Head on over to game number 3. Looking for Ucal, nice dodge on all the nails.
Okay, he gets out. It's a little win. Maintains a 0-3-0 KDA. Could be worse, as I look at some of his teammates. I mean, VicLa's just been finding these great angles where he just emerges from your own jungle.
Yeah.
And what's the recourse? He just ulted, you go in him, he stasises, then he roots and flashes away. Meanwhile, Aiming is just living in absolute hell trying to fight a Cassante who just is refusing to die or take damage. Yeah, there's not there's really not many options.
Yeah. Doesn't feel great for Kiwoom DRX.
2 kills and a Mountain Dragon is what Kiwoom DRX have been able to get this game.
VicLa doesn't necessarily have to do this, but he's going to try. And there you go. There's the kill. Now the rest of the team is here. He is going to go golden, but eventually he will die. It's a lot of stacks given over and gold to Amy.
Yeah.
But
so
there's still 13,000 gold behind, so
you can see with a Lissandra, not the most damage by herself. Even with how fed VicLa is, took quite a bit of time to take down the Rumble. Even though VicLa's very fed, I think would have been better to play with a team. Do I think that bit of gold is going to make a difference?
Oh, no.
Not at all. Maybe if they kill VicLa 7 more times, the game will be slightly close.
Yeah.
No, not really. Still be one-sided.
Yeah, they need to get a lot of the other members, too.
Yeah.
Not just VicLa. But they got the stacks, so that feels good. He got those Magi stacks off of him, but he still has 15.
Yeah,
so
he's still sitting pretty there.
BNK FEARX aren't even going for the Drakes. They're like, we don't need that.
It just doesn't mean anything at this point. They have the Baron, setting up for that. It's an Ocean Soul, and they would need 3 more to get it. At this point, I think they could just end the game naturally. Like we did in the good old days. Remember that, Brendan?
Yeah.
When people just used to just siege at your tower, and the enemy team had a Ziggs or a Gragas, and the game went to like 70 minutes.
Yeah.
Why were they the good old days again?
I blame Janair.
Yeah.
Umty's actually casting today, I believe.
Yeah, he is. I saw him earlier.
He's here. I wasn't sure if he was casting or desking, but I think he's casting.
He was wearing the caster outfit.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, they sacrificed 1 inhibitor. Well, they already sacrificed an earlier one. I think the game's just going to end soon. And then we can talk about game 3. That's my analysis.
That's really good analysis. You know, I was thinking the same thing, so I'm glad
that being
we're
said,
on the same page.
Kiwoom DRX, press all your buttons on Taeyoon. That is the best strategy that you can do right now. Just wait for him to step up a little bit and just go.
Yeah.
Notice he's playing next to the inhibitor, so he has terrain to block the dredge line from Andil. So if Andil ults him, dash the other side of the terrain, can't follow up.
All right. Here goes VicLa.
There's the ults.
Just gonna ult himself under the turrets. They are not really doing this cleanly, but I still don't think it matters. Nice fear comes down on a VicLa as they're really ham-fisting this one, but a wild growth on a Taeyoon.
Oh, they got him.
Should be enough. And I think when you're 14k gold ahead, you can just kind of do anything and win the game. And they will do exactly that.
Okay.
Amy's like, no! I will not go down without a fight! You get your wish, Amy.
There's a fight.
Yeah. GG! We got a series on our hands.
This game was very one-sided. Credit to, I think, both VicLa and Raptor for really being the driving force in this game.